We're live. Fellow nerds, I hope all is well with you and yours. I hope you've been playing a ton of video games. I hope you were playing Ashen, actually. Welcome to the Game Club for January and February. It kind of bled into February, so we just let it roll through. And the game is Ashen. Before we get started on the discussion about Ashen, I want to say, well, first of all, thank you for watching this stream. A little bit about Ashen. It's an Xbox exclusive, developed by A44 Games. It's an indie company. It's a smaller company, and they are located in New Zealand, actually. And
long way away.
Yeah, long way away. It's an action role playing game. It's kind of closely. It's a Souls game. It's its own genre now, so it's a Souls type game. So it's a little bit difficult. I say a little bit, but it's difficult game, and it's very much like Souls. But there's some differences that I like about it that we'll get into a little later on. But again, thanks for watching. We got a few areas that we want to cover about this game. We're going to talk about the graphics. We're going to talk about the sound design. We're going to talk about the story, the gameplay, and any online components that there were in the game. There are a few, but it's not an online-based game, really. So, we are going to get started with the graphics, Jamoka.
Mm-hmm.
What did you think about the graphics of the game?
So it's a unique art style, so it's not realistic and it's not like cartoony or anything. It's kind of in the middle, very unique style for this game. Thought the graphics were pretty simple, elegant. I want to say very clean.
Yeah.
But it's also a very limited color palette. They use. It's not a very colorful game, so it's more very drab. And I think that's by design because of the world that it's in.
So yeah, I agree. It's simple in its design as far as graphics are concerned. And to that point, I think that it's going to stand the test of time a little bit better than a realistic game would. I think you're going to be able to play this years down the line and then not feel the type of way about the graphics. Not so much like, I think if you were to play Battlefield 10 years down the line, you would kind of notice some things that you didn't like about it. I think this graphical style lends itself to being good in the long term. So I did like that about it. And as far as this color palette is concerned, I noticed that the color palettes kind of changed depending on the areas. A lot of times, this world opened up a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, there were areas where, like, you get a lot of sun, and then you get a little bit more color, but it's still, it's not a super colorful game, like Jamoka said. But with that said, I did like the graphics. I like what they were going for. Like, there's no faces on the characters or anything like that. There's no eyeballs or anything like that. It's a very simple looking game. And I kind of dig the art style.
Yeah, I thought the art style was really nice. I didn't have a problem with the art style. Very well done, very well designed art. Landscaping was good as well. When you look into the mountains, you can see hills and valleys. Water flowed pretty good. Hand-drawn wind. You can see the wind. So yeah, I thought the graphics were done pretty well.
Yeah, I thought so too. With that said, that area gets a thumbs up for me. I'll show a little bit of gameplay here in a second once it loads up. But again, I thought the graphics were good. They definitely served their purpose in the game. Now, we're going to talk about the sound design. And this is an area where I didn't really notice anything great, or it wasn't bad. It wasn't that it was bad. I just didn't notice it as much as I would have liked in a game like this. I can't remember a tune from the game is what I'm getting at.
So the way I would describe it is it's a very quiet game. I mean, with as far as the music score goes, and even with the sound, it's very quiet. It's almost very calming.
Yeah.
To that aspect, and I think that's done by design because combat is not calming. We'll get into that.
Combat is not calming. Yeah.
So yes, I think the sound was very calming. It wasn't a lot of. I'd say it's not one of those games that's going to win. That's going to win any technical awards for sound.
Right.
It's not. It's very simply done, very quiet, very calming. Music was the few tunes that you did here was very calming. Yeah,
it's just like a peaceful,
calming sound
vibe
game.
Yeah, I agree. And what's funny is I actually, while playing this game, I didn't too much. I actually turned down the music that was there.
Okay.
And I threw on some like lo-fi hip hop and just played it to that.
Okay.
Or you can listen to podcasts and play it to that. It's a very relaxing type of game, and I actually really like that about it. It's not too intrusive with the sound.
Yeah.
And again, I think that was done by design. So yeah, I dig the sound. The sword, like when you hit somebody with a weapon, a club or something, that sounds good. When you thrust your shield at an enemy and it knocks them back and it knocks their shield back, like all of that sounds really good. The enemy sounds sound horrific. There's a lot of screeches, a lot of screams as far as the enemies are concerned, or certain enemies. But yeah, I think the sound did its job pretty well. So thumbs up in that area from me. Is there anything else I could think of?
So would I give it a thumbs up? I'm kind of neutral with the sound because me having a super surround sound system, it really didn't utilize it to that aspect. That's the only thing, because it was just a very calming, very easygoing, sound.
Yeah.
Music score. That's all. But like I say, it wasn't bad. It's very calming, and I think that's needed for this game.
Yeah, I thought it was really needed, and again, I really like that about it because again. Any video game that I like where I can throw on and like listen to a podcast or listen to some like lo-fi, just chill vibes. Like I really like that about this game, even though I guess people can argue that, they'd rather have good gaming music, but I think that it was simple on purpose. It was just meant to be, you were meant to just exist in this world.
Yeah.
But yeah, you said you were neutral about the sound.
Neutral about the sound, yeah.
Okay.
Just because it didn't really utilize the surround sound.
I agree.
I mean, there was some elements there, but you don't play this game for the sound.
Right.
That way.
All right. So our next topic is one that it's a story. We're going to talk about the story. It's a very cryptic. It's like these games, like these Souls games, seem to have cryptic stories. Now, surface level, it's about light and darkness. It's about trying to find this god, the Ashen. It's called. It's a bird. But other than that, I can't tell you a character's name. I knew the character that you meet with the one arm. I knew his name for a little bit, but then I ended up forgetting that even. But the characters, they talk in a specific way. They're not, in my opinion, weren't very memorable because I can't remember any of them. I did enjoy my time with them, but I don't remember their names. They didn't do anything to stand out to me, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. The first guy you meet, I can't remember his name. Yeah, then you do meet other characters along the way. Again, they have their story elements that you can do. You could actually progress their stories by doing different missions for them. Again, not very memorable. I can't remember any of their names.
Right.
Yeah, I don't really remember much about the specific storylines for each of them. Yeah,
a lot of it was just, you were trying to seek out people who could help you rebuild this world.
Right.
which we'll get a little bit in.
Yeah, I think the part of the main story is you're trying to help the main guy, the guy you first meet with the one arm, because he has some type of a disease or something, and his arm was taken away or is kind of disappearing as a result of that. So you're trying to find something that's going to help him grow that arm back. Because the thought is that the rest of his appendages or the rest of him will also disappear because of this. So
he seemed to be a pretty important character, but again, the story is not what grabbed me about this. Like I think it's more of the gameplay that grabbed me. So the story, like in my opinion, was a little bit throwaway. It's cryptic. Like everybody talks in this cryptic way. And like most of the stuff that they had you do while it like provided different tools to you during your quest, it just wasn't that memorable to me. I'm sorry. Yeah, like this is the one area where I wish that, it had like maybe, I don't want to say a normal story. It has a story, but it's just not delivered in a way that was interesting in my opinion.
Right.
I'm sure there is lore and things that you can dig into if you really wanted to. I even tried going to like wikis and reading up on it a little bit, reading up on the characters, but it just wasn't that deep and the characters just weren't that interesting to me.
Yeah, and then like I said, I think we talked a little bit about the voice acting. Voice acting was okay.
Yeah.
I think there are a couple of characters that I think it tried too hard to actually act out or to deliver lines, and it just felt forced in some areas.
Yeah. I don't think the story is the strong suit, but with that said, we're going to get into why, at least I think this is a good game anyway. We're going to jump right into the gameplay section. Now, this is where everything, in my opinion, starts to come together. The systems and how the game works drives this game for me. Like, drives my want to play it. Like, because at a certain point, like, I got to the point where I was playing it and, like, hours would go by and I didn't know that I was playing it for that long. So, I think the systems in the game are what kept me in. So, specifically, again, the gameplay is a lot like Dark Souls. It borrows a lot of its gameplay mechanics from those type of games. So Dark Souls 1, 2, 3, Bloodborne, those type of games. So in nature, it's very difficult. It's a very difficult game. You have to take your time with it, but it rewards you if you take your time and kind of sort out situations before you just run in and start swinging at enemies. A lot of this is just straight up patience to deal with the enemies in a methodical way.
Yeah.
What do you think about that part of the gameplay? Like the actual fighting and...
So yes, very difficult game. I mean, very difficult when it comes to combat. Unforgiving. If you make a mistake, the enemies will pounce on you, take advantage of you, hit you 1, 2 or 3 times, and you're done.
Yep.
So yes, you really do need to take your time. And I had to find that out after playing it for a little while. But I came in rushing a lot and like, man, I'm getting ass handed to me. Finally had to take some moments to just step back, slow down, and try to tackle the enemies one by one and try to study them and try to figure out a way to approach them. But yes, very difficult, very unforgiving. You go in guns blazing, you are not going to survive.
No, you're not going to survive. So let's take a step back for a second, because I said this was like a Dark Souls type of game, and that might be a turnoff to a lot of people. Well, if difficulty is something that turns you off, this probably isn't going to be the game.
This is not going to be.
It's not going to be the game for you. It's easier than Dark Souls by a little bit. You have the world itself. It's not these closed corridors that you would find in like a Dark Souls 1, 2. I think 3 was a little bit more open, but not much. But it's not. This is a vast world that you're exploring. There's jumping around. You can climb things. There's like platforms that you can just straight up jump off of and like jump to other platforms in the game and find secrets and things of that nature. So it's a lot more open, and I think for that reason, that's one of the reasons I think it's a little bit, in my opinion, better than the Dark Souls series. And I'm like, the Dark Souls series is established; they make great games, but I wish that they were a little bit more open in their design and let me explore a little bit more. Because in Dark Souls, you can see the world out there, but it's like, I can't go there. We're focused on these corridors that I can travel through. So the open world, in my opinion, is a big piece of why I love this game. The level design is a big piece of why I love this game. Like, I thought the level design was amazing. Like a lot of times I will be climbing these towers and then see like there's skulls or bones scattered out throughout the world that have items.
Yep.
And you would see a location with bones and it'd have an item, a little icon for the item. But you just have to figure out how to get there, and it just took jumping around. And I love when games allow you to explore worlds like that. Like, just have a lot of little things that encourage you to explore the world.
Yeah, I agree.
What'd you think about the world? Did you like the openness of it?
I did like the openness of it. I think the openness of it comes into play when you're in combat, because instead of being confined to tight quarters, I use the vast open area to run around, to get enemies off my tail, run away, try to lure some enemies away. Or if I was fighting a boss and I needed to resurrect somebody else, I would lure the enemies over this way, then run around and go back and resurrect them. That's when that open space was used to my advantage. So yes, and I did, like I say, you look out into the landscape and see an item that you want to go get, you just figure out how to get to it. So yes, I thought the open world design was really well done. Did not have a problem with the open world design. Yeah,
and with that said, because it's open, you can kind of go anywhere that you want.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But there are enemies that will kick your ass if you're not like. This game doesn't have levels. You can't level up your character, but you can level up specific stats. There's not like a level 1, level 2, level 3, but you can level, like, your HP can get better, and your stamina can get better, and the damage that your weapons do can get better. So in a way, there's a kind of a leveling system. And there's certain areas where if you don't have a specific type of leveled weapon and you try to hit an enemy, it's going to take forever to kill them. Even if, like, and you could kill them if you figured out their patterns and how they attack. You can dodge and block enough to kill them eventually, but it's very time consuming if you don't have the right level. But with that said, another big reason why I like the design of this game is the menu where you look at your task or your missions. Mm-hmm. There's main quests and then there's side quests. They all have a level associated with them, so you can look at the level and decide, hey, I feel like I can do this now and work my way up to this main mission or this other side mission. I really like that. It made it a little bit more tolerable, the world a little bit more tolerable, in that you're not just running around trying to figure out if you could go here and dying and losing all your money. You can clearly see what level you should be at to do this specific side mission or mission, and you can go tackle it from there. And even with that incorporated, it's still not an easy game. No. So if you were trying to play without that, without looking at your missions and what level you need to be at to do them, you could like waste a lot of time and get your butt kicked a lot, which I did at first. But I love that they had that in there. It's not too hand-holdy, but it's still giving you a direction to go in the world, and there's plenty of things to explore outside of that if you want to in the areas where you do those missions. So I really, really like that. Another thing, there's a companion in the game. Mm-hmm. Now, the companion for me was it wasn't trustworthy. I couldn't count on my companion, whether it was an AI companion or a human companion. And a lot of times, like, I would go to a specific area. Like the last dungeon I was in, this game has like dungeons that you go in to fight bosses. And a lot of times you get a little power when you defeat them. But I went in this dungeon, and there was this area of the dungeon that I just thought that my companion couldn't go to. because I had
Yeah.
and that wasn't necessarily true. He just, I guess it was stuck. He just kept getting stuck. I think it was a bug. And one time I kept pressing the follow button. You can press up on the D-pad and tell him to follow you.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And he eventually came, and I'm like, this whole time I thought I was supposed to explore this section of the dungeon on my own, when in fact it was just a bug or something, and he couldn't go in there. What do you think about the companion system? Did you like it? So this is where the online portion of it comes in as well.
Right.
Like you can have random people join you in these dungeons if you wanted to allow that to happen.
So the companion system, I thought when it worked well and when I had somebody, I thought it was good, especially when I was fighting the number of enemies or fighting the bosses. Mm-hmm. I thought it was much needed. Like you said, they were also not as reliable.
Yeah.
Or if you needed a tag team to do something, to get up to an upper level, to open up a door or something, sometimes I actually had to wait there for 10, 15 minutes for somebody to jump into the game, or for whomever is in the game with me to come to me. So that was kind of frustrating. I'm like, kept pushing my up command to follow me, and they wouldn't come here. I'm like, what are you doing? Come here. And I can't talk to them or tell them to come here. So that was one of the frustrating issues to me.
Yeah, so like, the game is weird about this whole situation because, like, to get into dungeons, you need a second companion, whether it's AI or a person. Now, the AI was pretty reliable for me when it came to opening dungeon doors. They would always just appear, right? And we could open the dungeon door. If I had online mode on, that fell apart a lot of the times.
Okay. I don't think I only played with online. I didn't change that. So.
And a lot of the times, like, when you have a companion, even if you have online on, you really don't. They look like the people from the village. So you don't really know unless the computer partner started acting sporadically and doing weird stuff, if somebody's actually playing with you or if it's an AI controlled player. You have no name show up, no anything. You just have no idea. So I turned that off actually, and I just kept it the computer control. Player.
Okay.
I turned off online completely because, again, waiting for like 10 minutes for just somebody who was just running off doing something else when we were supposed to be going to where I wanted to go to a dungeon, just wasn't fun. So I turned it off. And they have a way that you can disable companions completely in the menu, so you don't have to have a companion playing through the game. Now, there are areas in the game where you need somebody to climb up. Mm-hmm. There's a stone you can buy within the game. So you eventually, if you make it far enough, you get this shop that offers you these stones that you can use to upgrade your character's certain stats. So, like, you can increase stamina by 10%, increase health, weapon damage, those type of things. And you can buy the stone so that you don't have to use a companion to do any of that stuff. You can open doors, you can climb, I'm assuming, by yourself. I didn't use it because the companion, even at its worst, was still good for me to have in combat when I, like, as a distraction at least.
Yes.
Because sometimes those enemies got overwhelming, like, and I couldn't imagine not having a companion there. So I never really turned it off, but I just thought it was funny that option was there. They knew people were going to be like, I don't want this. I just want to play alone. So they gave you an option to buy a stone in the game, which is sweet to me. I do wish that the companion was better coded to work better, a little bit, a little bit smarter. Yeah. So combat is fair. You got this companion that's not very trustworthy.
Let's just talk about combat just a little bit more.
Oh yeah.
So did you have? So I did have some frustrations when it came to combat. I don't know if you experienced this or not, or maybe it was just me. So I ended up, my primary weapon of choice was a two-handed weapon. It was like a club
Let's get into that.
So the frustration I had with that is swinging your weapon was very slow. Mm-hmm. I mean, it took forever to swing it and then try to get a second swing or then a third swing to a combo. So there was a heavy swing and then a light swing. Mm-hmm. Doing a heavy swing, it felt like it took them 3 seconds to actually, respond from that. A lot of times when if I made a mistake, hit the wrong button, doing that, I ended up getting my ass clobbered every time when I did that. And then sometimes it just wasn't responsive enough to try to pull off a combination. So for me, that part, when it didn't work well, it was very frustrating. I thought it was very slow a lot of times with the combat executing, trying to execute those combinations. So so that to me was very frustrating. What about you?
So combat is weird, and the way that it handles weapons in this upgrade is a little bit weird. So, I didn't have the issue where to me combat was responsive. It was slow.
Yeah,
I will definitely say that it was like once you got to know it, it was responsive and know how your character responds to the different attacks that they do. You can learn when to attack a specific enemy and when not to attack a specific enemy with a certain type of weapon. With that said, like combat to me was fair, but it was the way that it handled it was inconsistent. So like in these dungeons that you go into, it's dark, right? And you have to carry this lantern.
Yes.
You can only carry a one-handed weapon in those dungeons.
Yep.
Like you can try to run through these dungeons and carry a two-handed weapon, but you're not going to be able to see much unless your partner is there with you and he's right behind you, which a lot of times, again, the companion is not that reliable, so he's not ever going to just stay right behind you and give you the light that you need because he's off fighting or whatever. So the way that the game forces you to kind of use two different types of weapons, or for me, it forced me to just upgrade my one single-handed weapon that I had, and it was a club. Mm-hmm. That's the weapon that I focused on completely. I didn't focus on upgrading any other weapon. I did have a two-handed weapon that I loved, and I upgraded it a little bit, but since the dungeons force you to kind of use a one-handed weapon, I just focused on upgrading that and just used that all the time. That was the one weird thing. I don't know what they were going for, or if that was something that was meant to happen, but for me that was a little bit weird because I would have liked to use the other weapons. They just seemed like they were worthless.
Yeah.
Like, and when I would find any other weapon, I would look at it and I was like, well, I gotta upgrade this all the way to level such and such before it's even useful to me.
Right. Yeah.
And maybe that money comes a little bit more abundant later on, but I'm pretty far in the game, and it's hard to not only collect these souls, because I forget what the actual name, scorns, I think, scorns.
Like that, yeah.
But these scorns, or whatever they are, your currency, it's hard to collect them, and it's hard to like if you die,
you lose everything.
You lose them all,
but you can go back and recover it.
But if you go back and get them, try to get them and die before you get there, they're all. And oh my god, dude, that happened to me 2 times where I had over 25,000.
Oh, you had 25,000.
Because I was saving up to upgrade my club, and and what's funny is I found out that the game offers a way for you to deposit your money
into not in the little bags that you carry with you, but is it external?
No, in the bags. You can buy the bags, and you lose 50 scorn or whatever the currency is. You lose buying the bag, you lose 50. So you can go to this character in the game and you can buy these bags and put your money in, and then you can put the money in your. You eventually get a chest in the game. I don't know. Did you make it that far? So, and just in case we didn't mention it, as you're going through the game and you're progressing through the story, your village gets built out. So you could see everybody working on this village, and as you go out, they're making a lot of progress. So eventually I got to a point where my village was kind of full. Like, there were full buildings. I had a home of my own, and it had a chest in it, and you could deposit your stuff in that chest. So you could buy these bags from this guy in your town, and just it puts your money in those bags, and then you put those bags in your treasure chest. So that's a way of if you're going to go out on a dangerous mission and you don't want to lose all your money, you can buy those bags and just store them in your treasure. I thought that was smart. Yeah. I found out way late in the game, but I thought it was I love that about the game. Like, it doesn't tell you much of anything. No. You end up finding out this stuff just on your own. And with this type of game, I thought it was pretty cool that, it's not too hand-holdy and it didn't tell you that. But as far as the combat is concerned, I don't know. Maybe later on in the game, I will find some of these weapons more useful, but I'm literally only using one weapon right now. And I wish there was a reason for me to switch and upgrade other weapons. So.
I agree.
Yeah. And there's only 2 types of weapons, too. I wish there was more variety there as well. So So closing, Jamocha. Overall, would you recommend this game to someone, or I'll let you explain. Is this game something you would recommend or no?
So again, as we pointed out, if you don't like games that are very difficult to play, you will not enjoy Ashen. Just bar none. Because I think we play a lot of games for gameplay, combat, whatever. Sometimes we forget the story because the combat or the gameplay just overtakes that.
Yeah.
I don't think this game is strong enough in the other components that if you do not like a difficult game, there will be no reason for you to pick this game up. Like if you can't stand difficulty, this is not for you. If you like a challenge, then you definitely want to pick this game up because this game will definitely force your dexterity and your skill with the control stick.
Yeah.
You definitely have to learn and adapt to the enemies. And like Charles said, he got further in the game than I did, but I guess if you get further in the game, you start to get rewarded for this stuff. So, yeah, so if you want a challenge, yes. If you don't like a challenge, no.
Yeah.
That pretty much sums up the way I would recommend this game for folks.
So, for me...
Oh, and not only that, but also, it is, if you have Xbox Game Pass, yeah, I mean, definitely I would check it out. Give it a shot, see if it's something you would, be interested in, if it catches and holds your attention.
So overall, I think this game gets a glowing recommendation from me. And again, that's only if you like the Dark Souls type of games where there's a challenge to them, but they're very rewarding in how you feel when you make it through those challenges. Definitely check this out. In my opinion, this game is better than the Souls games that I played.
Okay.
And I know some Souls purists would be like, "What are you doing this way?" To me, the world in this game is the openness is so much better. The exploration in this game is so much better. It seems peaceful to me, even though you are fighting a lot of these demons and trying to restore light to the world. It was a peaceful game for me to play. But again, if you don't like Souls-like games, probably stay away from it. Don't waste your time. So those are our thoughts about the game.
So one more thing before we close out. We meant to tap this on the online component as far as the companion. I think I would have liked a full co-op mode.
Where you can invite,
you can invite somebody. That way you have a more reliable companion. I think, yes, it made it a lot more manageable when I had a companion with me. Definitely fighting the bosses. So, yeah, I wish there was a full online mode. But I understand that the Souls genre doesn't necessarily have that. So,
but this game, on that note, this game does the online component different than Souls in that in Dark Souls, to my knowledge, you just leave notes around the world and people can read them. That's the furthest, or people can invade your world as well, but they're invading and trying to attack you.
Gotcha.
I don't think there's a component element to a Dark Souls game. I don't think that you need people to open doors or climb up any specific walls or anything like that. So this game is a little bit different in how it's trying to handle online. So I 100% agree with you that I wish that since it does rely on the companion so much, I wish that you could invite people to play with you.
Right.
Like that, just that alone would have made the companion thing a little bit, or actually just way better.
Better.
I think this game would have been way better. Maybe it would have been too easy.
I see why they did it that way.
Yeah, maybe that's why they didn't do it, but I thought it would have been, well, that's a good point. That's a really good point. If you could invite people, I think it would have been dope. Yep. All right, guys. So that was the game for January, February. Thanks for playing. If you did, we're moving on to March. We had to pick a game for March. We put up a poll on Facebook. If you're not part of the Facebook group, I don't know how you're watching this actually. But we put up a poll for you guys. You guys voted on the game that you wanted to be March Gameclub game of the month. Your options were Yooka-Laylee, Batman Arkham Knight, and Metro 2033. Now, I'm going to actually go back to Facebook just to make sure, because I checked this way earlier. But from what I remember, yes, it's still the winner. So our new game club for March is Ukulele. Now, this game developed by Platonic Games. It's a group of former key personnel from Rare. Remember Rare, the guys that made Banjo-Kazooie, that era. So those guys got together and formed a development studio, and they made this game. We'll get more into detail about how this game came to be in our next stream. So if you want to see and hear more about this game, definitely, one, play it with us. We'd love to hear your thoughts about the game. And then, two, we'll talk a little bit about the history of the game and how it came to be during the next live stream. But if you like games like Banjo-Kazooie or Mario 64, those type of games, you're going to probably like this game. Or hopefully, you're going to like this game. We're going to find out. But thank you guys so much for joining us for this stream. If you haven't already, we have a YouTube channel where we talk about tech and video games. This video will be going up on YouTube as well, so if you want to catch it there, you can. But check out our YouTube channel, www.youtube.com/soundsnerdy, or if you go to youtube.com and just search for Sounds Nerdy, you'll find us. We do a lot of reviews. If you could hit that subscribe button and that notification bell, we greatly appreciate the support. Check out our website, www.soundsnerdy.com. We have a lot of events that we want to try to do. So you want to have a user account on soundsnerdy.com. We'll be talking more about that in later videos. But stay tuned for that stuff. Anybody that's been around knows about the bets that we do and how fun those are. We got picture bets and we do Metacritic bets as well. Try to guess what a game's it's just all fun and games. Try to guess what a game is going to score on Metacritic a couple of days after its release. And then the pictures are just close-up pictures of game covers. Try to guess, what the game cover is on the first clue. If nobody gets it on the first clue, we move on to the second, third, fourth clue. But those are really fun, and I hope you guys stick around for that.
Just a little tease. We have a new game that we're going to be premiering in the next season.
Yep.
So stick around for that.
You want to hang around for that. But if you stuck around for those seasons, thank you very much for your support. We hope you like the prizes that we were giving out. Who doesn't like money for games?
Right. Exactly.
And we try to make the games fun, and any feedback from you guys is always welcome. So thank you guys for that. With all that said, guys, I have been Charles of Sounds Nerdy. You can follow me on Twitter at CharliePinkSN.
You can follow me on Twitter at SNJamoka.
And follow Sounds Nerdy on Twitter as well, at Sounds Nerdy. Again, the game of the month for March, Ukulele. We hope to see you at the next stream. But until the next time, guys, take care.
Stay nerdy.